Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Aganatirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we're reading from the Shri Brihat Bhagavatamrita of Srila Sanatana Goswami. This is part 2, chapter 3, and it's called Bhajan, worship. And last time we were hearing about Gopakumar going through the darkest portion of the universe beyond all the central perceptions and so forth of made up of matter. And then there was the realm of unmanifest matter, the world of darkness. Then he starts to enter into a world of light. By the desire of the Lord, I then crossed beyond the vast region of dense ignorance and came to a place flooded with the light, so brilliant, so unbearably beyond looking at, that it forced me to close my eyes. With utmost devotion, I struggled to look ahead, and then I saw the Supreme Lord, effulgent like millions of suns. So that BrahmaJyotih, or that white light effulgence, golden light really, is said to be the bodily effulgence of the Lord. There's a famous verse in the Ishopanishad that requests the Lord, now let me see beyond this effulgence and see the beautiful form of yours. Ever increasing the ecstasy of my mind and eyes, that all-powerful Lord, adorned with many ornaments and sweet features, and bearing all the signs of an exalted person, revealed himself as the most wondrous form of the supreme truth. Though always beyond material qualities, in spiritual qualities he is full. Though formless, he attracts all with his form. Though never directly connected with matter, that infallible Lord appears resplendent in her association as she performs her pastimes under his shelter. There are many apparent contradictions. The Lord is with form and the Lord is without form. The Ishopanishad goes through these things, that although he has no hands, he can accept all our offerings and so forth. And the idea is that he has no material hands, no material legs, no material form. But beyond all form and beyond the formless transcendental light exists the actual transcendental form of the Lord. In Christian theology, this says we are made in the image and likeness of God. So that is a fact, because we have a form similar to that of the Supreme Lord. And in fact, every species has a replica form that manifests from the Supreme Lord in various manifestations and incarnations, like Lord Boar and so forth, that Lord Hangsa. Though always beyond material qualities, in spiritual qualities he is full. Though appearing formless, he attracts us with his transcendental form. A flood of reverence, with some fear, yet overjoyed, with joy, overwhelmed me. At that moment, I simply did not know what to do. It's kind of like Arjuna when he saw the universal form. First, he's talking with his friend Krishna. discussing his ideas compared to Krishna's ideas. Should I fight? Should I not fight? All these things. And finally accepts, okay, let me hear what you think, Krishna, and I surrender to you. And then he realized it's not just a friend of his that he's chatting with. This is the supreme absolute truth. As the Lord manifests his universal form, he actually becomes fearful. To see that with eyes everywhere, it's described, and arms and crowns and everything, so many things, he becomes fearful. And even when the Lord then manifests again in his personal form, he's not really sure how to relate to that yet, because now he's seen this other side of the Lord, or this other form of the Lord. So, are you still that Krishna that I knew? And so then gradually he manifested that form in which Arjuna felt comfortable that he knew, and was related to his family like that. So in a similar way, Gopakumar, when he saw this form of the Lord, natural reverence awoken within his heart. But reverence also includes some fear. When someone is very powerful, if someone is great, there's also a fear with that. But there was also a joy. So it was contrary to that fear, there was the joy that he was feeling. So he's feeling these mixed emotions. That self-manifest Lord was beyond the scope of my senses. One can only see him directly by the power of his mercy. There is no other way. That only if the Lord allows him to see us are we able to see him. Otherwise, we are in this darkness of ignorance. Om Agyan Timirandasya. We're in this world of darkness, and we say the spiritual master opens our eyes, and we get a glimpse of that truth, but we have to work on that reality within our own heart and like that, and naturally cultivate that loving devotion so that the Lord is drawn to us. As Krishna means all attractive, so we should naturally be drawn to Krishna. We're attracted by his name, we're attracted by his deity form and so forth. But we want to also draw Krishna towards us. And that, what attracts Krishna? Krishna is all attractive. So what attracts Krishna? It's loving devotion. That's the only thing that attracts Krishna. If you want to attract Krishna towards you, you have to nurture your loving devotion towards him. Then he's drawn to you. Like he's drawn to Radharani, because she's the emblem of love and devotion. She's the very embodiment of loving devotion. Therefore, it is said we should follow in the footsteps of Radharani and the gopis of Braj, because they possess the greatest love. So if we can learn how to emulate that love and awaken that love within ourselves, then Krishna is also drawn towards us. So it's only by his mercy, and his mercy is gained. It's not random. That his mercy, in one sense, is there for everyone, but you have to know how to collect it. How do you gather it? So you have to gather his mercy or collect his mercy through your own nurturing of love and devotion towards him. I was unable to understand whether I was seeing him with my eyes, with my mind, or with the power of the soul that transcended both. He is certainly beyond the power of he's beyond the senses, he's beyond the mind. So in one sense, it's the soul's eye that sees it. But Gopakumar, of course, bewildered by it all, is seeing the Lord, but how is he seeing the Lord at the same time? Is he seeing with these eyes? Is he just somehow manifested within the mind, and the mind's eye is seeing? Or is the soul actually the seer? In the topmost understanding, we understand the soul is the seer. The Upanishad says it's not the eyes that see. It is the soul who is the witness, who is the thinker, who is the brain is the portion of this body which calculates and nurtures the idea of what I want and how I'm going to get it and this and that. Well, that may be true, but we can separate ourselves from all of this. These are instruments for seeing and for thinking and for experiencing touch and taste and like that. That soul is the actual witness. I was contemplating the other day, I was talking to Guru Patni and I said, I was contemplating the idea of existence. Existence is a kind of a interesting factor because we all say we exist. I exist, that is the I am. But our existence is always in connection with some experience where we are living. I exist. How do I know I exist? Because I live here and I'm experiencing this and that. So it's an interesting idea that in one sense, the sense of I is always connected with an experience. If you become devoid of experience, then maybe you could say, well, that is liberation. That's the impersonalistic idea, that I am or I exist. But it is described that without doing something, one becomes restless, even in the BrahmaJyotih. So Prabhupada points out that many yogis who attain liberation come back, and if they don't have the experience of serving the Lord, they then diverted to service of man, like opening up hospitals and educational institutions and like that. Because the natural temperament of the soul is to serve. So if we have nothing to do, we become restless. We want to do something, and that generally becomes translated into some kind of service or some kind of manifestation of work and so forth. But that is our experience. We're living within a realm of experience. So I was contemplating the idea of existence. I exist, but I exist within the experience that I'm presently in. Because we may have existed before in a previous experience. Like we've all experienced living in Hawaii. We had that experience. That was our reality at that time. Now our reality is here, right now, and what we're doing at the moment. And this is our realm of experience, and this is where the I exists at the moment. So the I always exists somewhere in relationship to an experience. But the greatest experience we aspire for is the experience of union with the Supreme in transcendental loving devotion, in the realm of divine playfulness, we'll say, where Krishna is not in the realm of awe and veneration, because he also has that's the Vaikuntha realm, but where he is playful, joyful, and like that. I don't know if everyone feels the same way, but for me, I think there's I think the best years outside of Christian consciousness, of course, is in that what they call the wonder years. I don't know if you ever saw that show, the wonder years. That year, those years when you're kind of awakening in consciousness, not childhood, but it's a youthful stage. And it's like, this is why Krishna manifests in this youthful stage. This is the greatest joy. I mean, what I was explaining this to some of my god brothers the other day, that we all had the joy of, for instance, gathering with friends and going out. I mean, we used to go into the woods and play around, hide and seek, whatever you're playing. That was all part of growing up. But that's also the experience of Krishna, is playing with his friends. They go out every day. The cowherd boys can't wait for that time to come. Let's go out and herd the cows. Of course, for Mother Yashoda, she's regretting that time, because she likes to nurture Krishna at home and feed him and like this. But that when the time comes, she's actually doesn't appreciate the time when Krishna has to go out. That's for her. It's a time of pain for her heart because Krishna has to go out. For the gopis, it's also the pain of waiting for that evening time to come. Although sometimes Krishna calls them out in the daytime too. In any case, the idea of experience is connected with the I. And we always have to have some experience to, in one sense, confirm that I do exist. If there's no experience, how do I know I exist? I have no experience, so then do I exist? I don't. There's nothing. You're in nothingness. Is that an experience? Well, you can say, well, I experienced deep sleep, but still, not quite the same. So maybe someone says, yes, I experienced the I am in the dense darkness or in the divine light, but really the joy of existence is when it's in reciprocation of love with others, friendship and love and like that. And that's all portrayed in Krishna Lila. But, so here is Gopakumar's experience. As he's entering into that light and kind of gets a glimpse of the Lord, at one moment, I saw him as formless. But I remembered the mercy of the Lord of Niladri, Jagannath Puri. And at the next moment, I saw him again in his personal form, vastly effulgent, and I was full of joy. The light is so bright, of course, it's like, am I seeing or I'm not seeing? We're fading in and out, almost like the experience of fading in and out. Sometimes I would begin to merge into the Lord's effulgence. I would seem to just dissolve into that ocean. But he mercifully saved me with the touch of the rays from the nails of his lotus feet. Sometimes my mind felt special pleasure in beholding him, surrounded by great perfected beings who were his devotees, at once different yet non-different from him. They surrounded him in subtle spiritual forms, like beams of light around the sun. Now, not only did he see the Lord, he saw these effulgent beings all around the Lord. Giving an example like the sun with its rays. Great personalities who are in one sense different, but yet non-different from the Lord because of their greatness. The huge treasure of ecstasy I thus obtained. Inundated by my mind, I became like a self-contented sage, or like a man whose ambitions have all been fulfilled, completely satisfied. A flood of thoughts supported my logic and made me conclude I had reached the supreme destination, the highest perfection of life. Tossed by waves of ecstasy intrinsic to that abode, my mind was overwhelmed, as if the awareness of my goal had vanished. That is, I had no goal. I achieved my goal. Everybody sets goals, but can imagine when everything is fulfilled and you're satisfied. Of course, generally in the material world, people have goals, but they're still not satisfied, so they have to set up other goals. Because of following the divine instruction of that great saintly devotee, my Gurudev, and because of the strength of my service to chanting my transcendental mantra, my hankering to see with my own eyes the lotus feet of my worshipable deity never fully disappeared. He was initiated into a divine mantra which carried a personal conception of the Lord. So he was faithful to his guru, he was faithful to his chanting. So that never left him, even that he was experiencing this kind of dual and non-dual world, this world of effulgence. His aspiration really was to see the Lord and to interact with the Lord. Rather, the more I looked at that effulgent Lord, the Mahakala, the stronger rose my long-standing greed to see the object of my worship. The deity I worshipped seemed pulled by the force onto the path of my remembrance. Then awakening in his consciousness was the remembrance of the form of the Lord, of the mantra that he chants, Lord Madan Gopal. He chants the Gopal mantra. And so the form of Krishna as a Gopal kept manifesting within his mind. Because of that greed, that intense greed here, it says, increased greed for the Lord, even though I beheld the Supreme Lord right before him, I did not feel as satisfied as before. This was a different environment. I was disturbed by the fear that I might merge into him, and was likely to happen in that abode. There is a type of liberation called Sayuja, when you merge into the Lord. So that could feel the force pulling him into the manifesting into the body of the Lord. But he didn't want that. He wanted the direct service and consciousness of the Lord in that service. So all of a sudden I was thinking, I want to go back to Brajbhumi. I want to go back to Vrindavan. I want to fulfill those desires. And then I heard some wonderful singing and music. As that cultivated within his brain, or it was again, a remembrance of his true spiritual desire that I want to go to Brajbhumi. I want to return there and fulfill my true spiritual desire to serve the Lord personally. Then I heard some wonderful singing and music. Enlivened, looking all around, I saw someone riding on a bull. A unique person, arriving from some higher region. He was three-eyed, white like camphor, dressed only by the sky, in other words, naked. That exquisitely beautiful person carried a trident and bore a half moon on his head, his matted locks brilliantly adorned by the Ganga. His body was smeared with ashes and graced by a charming garland of bones. Who is that? Lord Mahadev. Sitting on his lap, a woman, of fair complexion, affectionately served him. Divine regalia surrounded him, more heavenly than the riches of heaven, and many followers attended him, their attractive forms and conduct just befitting his service. There were many surrounding him to serve him, and his other self, Gauri, was sitting on his lap, and in this way he saw this divine personality with this great regalia moving through, riding on a bull. Can you imagine? Feeling the greatest surprise and delight, I thought, oh, who is this? Accompanied by such an entourage and appearing from above this abode of liberation, beyond this realm of oneness. He looks more powerful than anyone in the material world, more excellent than all civilized souls. Yet, he does not care for the rules of civilized behavior, appearing like a sense gratifier. My mind was, because he's not bound by any rules or regulations, my mind was overcome by the weight of the supreme ecstasy I felt from seeing him. I bowed down to him and those who were with him, and he gave me a compassionate glance. Impelled by joy, I approached the leader of his companions, named Srinandishwara, and asked him in detail about this person and what he was doing. We'll hear about that next time. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Val.